Hello, good evening, and to our European visitors, and good morning to our US stateside visitors. My name is Duncan Beattie. I'm the Chief Solutions Officer at GB Labs, and we're going to be talking about Core 4.5, a major evolution in our core operating system. I'm just going to give it another minute or so, another sort of 30 seconds to a minute, just to let some people join, as we've got some late entries coming in. Whilst I'm waiting for that, a little bit of housekeeping. In the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side, you can see there is a questions section. If you type any questions you have in there, then we can make sure we cover those off at the end of the session. So yeah, please ask any questions throughout, and I'll cover those off at the end in the Q&A part of the presentation or the webinar. Excellent. So we've had a few more join, so we'll get going. So as I said, my name is Duncan Beattie. I'm the Chief Solutions Officer of GB Labs, and here we are talking about the Core 4.5, the latest and newest version of our Core 4 family of operating systems running on our products. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, I just wanted to go through and talk a little bit about us for those of you who do not know who we are or have not talked to us before. We are GB Labs. We've been around since 2009, and we produce media servers for the media and entertainment and production creative industry. We have a large range of products which cover pretty much most requirements inside a media environment. So starting off with the fast NAS, you can see on this diagram on the right, the desktop, a very useful desktop system, portable and great for OB work, outside work. Fast NAS rack unit alongside that. And then moving over on the left-hand side, the space with the blue fascia, that's our main space server and hyperspace working with it. We then have our SSD product in red and our newest product, the Unify Hub appliance, up there in the purple. We also have the green box there, which is the white and green, which is our nearline product called Echo, and we have a tape system. So really we have the whole ecosystem to choose from when you're looking at our product range. So today we are going to be talking about Core 4.5. So a quick look at the agenda. We're going to be looking at the goal of CoreOS and why we created it, the reasons behind it, the logic. Also looking under the hood and solving some problems and why Core solves those and how we approach that. We will be looking at some screenshots of the new 4.5 interface, and also what 4.5 really brings to the table as a roundup, a quick chat about some technology partners, and also look at the build and options for getting hold of 4.5, and then a Q&A session at the end. So to get us going, really, as I mentioned in the first slide, we've been around since 2009, and in the beginning, our first version of CoreOS was pretty utilitarian. It had some great functions in it, but its primary reason was to be incredibly fast and incredibly efficient and deliver very high performance to a network. The main reason for this is in 2009, our first product, Space, really was born to replace SAN, to be a successor to SAN. And at 2009, every shared storage system really was a SAN. That's what people were recommending. So we took that, we produced Space, and we really showed that you could work from a NAS environment in editing. Of course, now there are quite a few NAS systems on the market, some IT systems as well that are NAS-based, but we knew this was going to be the right way to go in 2009. And as we went through into version 2, Core 3, and then Core 4, you can see that we were introducing a lot of features and tool sets. And here we find ourselves with the release of 4.5. The reason we've drawn the line this way is you can see heading towards 4.5, there's quite a spike in some of the features that we've introduced. And so Core 4 really has given us the engine to produce some really amazing results and some amazing tool sets. And that's important to understand. The goal of CoreOS was to always produce an operating system that made sense to really three people in an environment. You have the people who are using it, which is of course are the creatives and the editors, and the people working on the storage. And they may only see an icon on the desktop, but actually behind it, there's a lot of tools that the administrators can use to make their lives easier. So the administrators we have to provide for, and the third person really in that environment is the financial side, the financial person, the people that pay for this product and want to see a return on investment. So each tool set that we have makes sense and reasoning to all of those three people in different ways, but they're great tools. And if you've used our software before, you'll understand that each tool, there really is a logical reason why it's there in the operating system. There's always a reason, whether that is a suggestion from a client, a problem that we've seen out in the market, a problem that we've experienced as we've grown with this product and understood that a NAS needs to work in a different way to a SAN because of the way that we don't have client software, we're just using networking. Our server has to do everything. So all of these features have been introduced throughout the years and really made a huge difference. And we'll be looking at some of the ones in 4.5 as well. It's also very important to understand what core means to us and therefore our clients. So core really is the heart of every server. The Space, Echo, FastNAS, Unify, Hub, the Vault, they all have core running on top of them, making the hardware components that we've chosen work incredibly well and very, very efficiently. And this is really key. The core software really does look at all the components, but also mixes that with the tools that we have and being able to deliver that onto the network, and also provide flexibility to the users and make sure the creatives are creating. So it says on the left there, the one single point of truth, and this is very important for the current workflow that we find ourselves in, sort of post-pandemic. There's a lot of talk about cloud, there's a lot of talk about remote working, there's a lot of talk about on-premise, which one's the right thing. And really, to get things to work together, you have to have a point of truth. You have to have a single point of truth. And more, this is proving, even though people have tried cloud, it's proving to be back to on-premise storage, because you need that power. You need that integration. You need those clients working on that media quickly. And where do you want that? Do you want that in the cloud somewhere? Do you want it on someone else's stuff? No, you want it on premise. You want to have hold of this. And that's really important. You know, with that single point of truth, we're then introducing the other components. So we've got on-premise users, we've got remote users, and we've got cloud all working together. So we really need something in the middle to be able to control this. And that's where core comes in. So the core software running on the servers, providing these tool sets, providing this simple, easy to manage integration, it really is the heart of everything. So what are the benefits to 4.5? You know, why is it such a fundamental upgrade over previous versions? Well, really, the key is under the hood. So 4.5 has got an upgraded engine. It's got an upgraded kernel that's incredibly powerful, incredibly efficient, and works incredibly well. And what that really means is that as we introduce the tools that we need to have a modern workflow, so all the security aspects, all the third-party integrations, accelerating the ArchiWare plugin, for example, the cloud functions, all these things that people expect with the storage, but still expect that storage to be able to deliver huge amounts of video streams and high performance. The Nitro, the hyperspace, all the algorithms running to make that work the way it does, that all needs a lot of power. And Core brings that. 4.5 also working with these utilities, working with these tools and applications that we have, the cloud support, the remote working, the nearline analytics, the control, the dynamic control. This is all incredibly important. So that power at the bottom is bringing this new way of working, making it much more efficient. So I wanted to make sure that we really understand that these tools really assist every workflow and assist what they can do. And it's truly bringing everything together, um, with core being the central point. And we mentioned there over 50 media-centric tools. And these can be as simple as just one button click, sort of on-off button inside our GUI. Seems like something trivial, but actually it's not. It's incredibly important because that button's there for a very particular reason. And our software is covered in all these little tools and things that help workflow. Putting them all together is incredibly powerful. So what does it look like? Well, here we've got our core 4. So if you've got core 4 already, core.4, up until earlier versions, then this is what you'll be used to. So it was a kind of a flattened version of core 3. It was familiar, but we felt that we could do more. We felt that we could vastly improve it. So what we've done is we've got a new GUI that's far more responsive. Let's bring that up. So the new GUI is far more responsive. It's an updated interface with reorganized menus. So you'll notice on the left, you've got workspaces at the top, and then File Manager, Unify Hub, Mosaic, monitoring, and then security and system configuration at the bottom. So the tools that are most used are on the top left, where you really need them. So creating your workspaces, creating your workflow. We've also got increased real estate for future tools. I've seen the list of stuff that's coming up, and it's really, really exciting. And we want to make sure that our interface can add those tools out without becoming cluttered. We want to be able to add those in. And this new design really gives us that. Excuse me. And there's also what I've been referring to as kind of service polling. I don't know how to, I've been thinking of a phrase for it, but really it's talking about how the GUI is constantly talking to the kernel underneath and all the background services that you will never see but are running, to make sure it's fully up to date. It's incredibly responsive. Alerts and dynamic bandwidth and all these things are reacting incredibly quickly, and giving you what you'd expect from the GUI. So we'll go through some of these screenshots, and some of them will be a little familiar if you're used to the previous versions. So here we've got our volumes. If you've not seen our operating system before, this is where we show the volume inside the box. Very easily shows you how much you've used and how much is available. It shows you the increase button there, for example. So at the bottom next to the green where it says space and the volume, the increase button, dynamically expanding volumes. This is something that we've been doing for a long, long time. You can plug an expansion in, you can drag a slider bar, the system gets bigger, you don't have to migrate data. Again, incredibly easy to do, ideal for production because it minimalizes downtime. Also in here, one of the media-centric tools that we can talk about is our disk modes. And this is incredibly important when you are working in a production environment. So you have production and editing mode. And this is changing the way the disks behave underneath when data has been written to them. So a very simple click and OK button, but what it's doing in the background is very, very complex. We had a question on the previous webinar about how Core helps with outside production, live event production, things like that. Well, you know, you can take your box and you can flip it into production mode, which means you can capture all day long on this product without any problem. It's designed to work with capture systems like Softron or some of the live event stuff, tools on air, for example. Allows you to capture that data, or even tape capture if you're still doing baseband. So what about workspaces? An updated interface again to workspaces. You can see the dashboard, and here we have our work in progress expanded out, showing you the protocols that are running, what networks are running on there, what configuration they've got, any description information you've got there, and the path. So very simple to do it. And if you then drill down into that workspace, you can then see all the options we've got. And again, these are on a per share basis. You know, we don't want to have global settings for every single share and lock users in. We want our customers to have the flexibility to create different shares that they need. And that's incredibly important. So a very simple and elegant way to control your data. Simple things like quotas or turning on HTTP sharing to allow users to come in via web browser. Again, very, very important. IP restriction, what a fantastic button that is. One little button allows you to control by network and by IP and protocol who can access this share or not. Really, really good. So your shares, and of course, in this new world of single point of truth, we like the storage to be the central point of truth. So you've got your workspaces on premise for your sharing, and then you can integrate. So with the base cloud service inside 4.5, you can add cloud locations. So with the cloud services section of 4.5, you can add in all of these cloud providers. So S3, Backblaze, Dropbox Business, Google Drive, Wasabi, and S3. If you have a Unify appliance, you can also add an SMB location as well. Now, these locations can be then reshared on the local network. So they work really well. So with the base software, you've got replication, automation, and file manager. If you buy the Unify Hub license, then again, the GUI here is showing you these remote workspaces, allowing those remote workers to come in. And also with the Unify license or with the appliance, we have cloud workspaces, allowing us to create a local network share of that cloud environment, giving the local users access to the cloud data. Again, bringing those files down, keeping a copy. This has been optimized in 4.5 as well. So again, optimized all the other background services. We have File Manager. So File Manager is inside the box. It's now calling together our Explorer, also calling in replication and automation rules, all under the File Manager menu. So this part of the software is great. You can see there we've got some cloud providers already. And Amazon, we can drill into that directly from our software and browse the contents of that cloud and copy files up and down or move them. So this is really powerful without having to get the credentials the whole time. Our storage server can go straight into those cloud accounts. Another fantastic feature under the File Manager menu is the automation rules. The ability to be able to help and assist and watch what's happening on the network, watch files and react to them. These files that we're using and the automation rules, we have fantastic filters so we can say if a file is older than a certain time and potentially a .mov, we can then apply and action filters to those. So all of these file manager tools, again, being given this boost with the 4.5 with this new release. Those of you who do not know our product, we have Mosaic, which is our asset organizer. This is included in the software. It's free with every version that you get of the Core 4 family. A great asset organizer, a really great intro into potentially a MAM. So for those customers who are wondering about a MAM, they can start using this. And then it's a great lead in to discuss MAM options with our partners later on and look at our technology partners for MAM. So those are some of the features that we've moved across from our previous versions. And some of the things that really take advantage of 4.5 and what we have available are things like the dynamic bandwidth. So dynamic bandwidth, for those of you who are not aware, is the ability to be able to prioritize users. And this is another great tool that we've put together, particularly for media. So we've had customers that they've talked to us about other servers or servers they've got existing, and they said, well, we bought a system and it was, it would give us around 2.5 gigabytes a second, but we've got two machines that need at least 300 megabytes a second each. So we've reserved 600 megabytes a second for those two machines and locked it away from the other users. But in reality, those machines may only be on 20 or 30% of the time, but that bandwidth is still locked away for those other users. What we do is we look at it differently. We will take the machines and put them into high, medium, or low priority. So when the high priority machines are, in this example, you can see there's 2 finishing suites there, and we're dragging the playout server across into high priority. Those 2 machines will go to the top of the queue for the priority, and they will get it when they're online. And when they're not, we release it for the other high priority users, and then medium and low, and so on. So you are getting all of your performance all the time. Now, to be able to do this and also serve those media streams and also run potentially automations and using those workspaces and controlling access and potentially running Unified Hub takes an awful lot of power. And again, going back to this upgraded engine, this fantastic kernel within 4.5, that's the power you need to be able to run all these functions together. So also with our networking interfaces, brand new layout, all in under system configuration, all bundled together into some really nice tools. We've got our interfaces. You can see very quickly what's connected, what port speed is running, the IP information. And should you want to drill in, we've now got granular network control for an easy way to block or grant or block access in a multi-network workflow. So what does that mean? Well, it just means for this example, what we've done is we've blocked all the protocols except SMB and AFP, because that's all we want going onto this network port. It's as simple as that. It's so easy to do. It may be that you just want people in another department to be browsing for a web browser. So you just turn everything off but HTTP or HTTPS. It's such a great thing on a per port basis, on a per NIC basis. Really clever. And again, using that fantastic engine underneath. Core 4.5 has also given us a huge benefit in terms of security. So when we, again, looking at the sort of new way of working, this new environment of working, security is incredibly important. So within Core 4.5, we managed to bundle this all together under security and compliance. We've also got more features coming in the future, got a great pipeline. We have our auditing. So here we can actually, you can see there at the top of the screen, we've got sort of blue lines going up and down, and that's all a calendar section. So you can drag across those lines to get a calendar range, and that will then give you the access records underneath, and you can then filter by protocol like SMB and AFP, maybe by a function like a delete or a remove or a rename, and that will then drill down and show you which machine did which or what to each system. And also, if you're using authenticated access, you will get the user information there as well. You can then generate reports and download that, and you can get that audit. Also, alongside that, we've got hugely updated logging systems for tech support teams, for those admin teams. So the log information is really granular and incredibly responsive. So we can get a bi-second report on the logging, we can generate reports, we can download them, and then we can download them again later on, the same report to run. And that's under the monitoring section. So some really clever stuff in the reporting to make the technicians' lives easier as well. For security, we've also got our compliance section in there. So that gives us our HTTPS settings and also our tools for security. So password policies, it'll also warn you if you haven't changed the default passwords, and SSL, so we can import certificates into the software as well. So either generate them or import them. Security, really, really key now moving forward. Also benefiting from 4.5 is Cloak, our fantastic IP failover solution. Because 4.5 as a whole OS is more efficient, the reporting on this is more efficient as well, and actually is increasing the responsiveness of Cloak underneath. So looks familiar, very easy to see what's going on. We can see the heartbeat running. We can see where the data's going. And should a failover occur, literally within 3 or 4 pings, the system has switched to the other server. So if you are looking for any kind of redundancy, like really, really properly redundant server solution, it's fantastic. And because it's on the end of a piece of fiber, it can be kilometers or miles apart if needed. So that's just a few select slides to show you some of the existing tools in the new interface, but also talk about some of the new stuff. I could go into the whole thing, but I mean, I don't think anyone wants to sit in front of a 3-hour webinar. So we'd really love to be able to show you and do a proper demo and do a deep dive of 4.5 with you later on. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But just to kind of round up on that, what does 4.5 really bring to the table? So it's a visually different design and feel with more efficient and uniform interfaces, advanced tools with more in the pipeline coming. So we've done a kind of a word cloud of this, and really for us, I think the most important thing is more performance everywhere, which is why that's highlighted. So this really does boost the entire performance of the product. And that's not just your network performance, but also the tools, the calculations, the reporting, the reaction speed. It boosts everything. And now in this more disparate environment where you've got the remote workers, you've got remote offices, you've got on-premise storage as your main point, you've got cloud environments where you want data, a little bit of data here, you want to deliver stuff by cloud, you want to restore stuff and connect and bring it in. All that needs this power, which is why 4.5 is so important in this sort of semi-post-pandemic workflow and this new way of having remote access. So just before we touch on the last bits, I wanted to cover off a little bit about some of our partners. So with cloud technology, we've got AWS, Backblaze, Dropbox, Google Drive, and Wasabi, which we saw in the previous slide. The technology partners, we've got Adobe, ArchiWare, so we're running P5 inside the server, and again, that's boosted by the updated kernel, meaning it's incredibly efficient for the ArchiWare. Our server does a lot of work, meaning the backup from the ArchiWare server, drawing from our storage, is incredibly efficient. DFT, which is our film scanning partner, and Autona, a really clever multi-workflow system from Autona, connecting in and working on our products and using our storage and helping working with our automation. Hardware technology, so Arista and Mellanox switching with Intel, obviously we're using Intel inside, and the Seagate for the disk drive, so a really good, strong Seagate partner. In terms of MAM, Mosaic leading into MAM, we've got, like I say, all the usual suspects. So Axel AI, Cantimo, CatDB, Marquis, with the parking products for the Avid side, Metis, which is a great system used in TV rooms and newsrooms, and of course Tools on Air, a great on location kind of multi-live capture used in sporting events. We've done some great work with them. So some really good partners that we're working with, many more to come. And finally, builds and options. So 4.5, you get with Core.4, the family, with 4.5 available on Space SSD, Echo, and Volt, and with a light version available on FastNAS, of course. And how do you get it? So if you've got Core.4 already, you're already a Core.4 user, you will be eligible with your software updates. If you're eligible for software updates, you will receive 4.5 as an update. And we have 4.5 upgrades available for anyone running Core.3 software, so the family of Core.3. Please get in touch with us. We can then help you through that process. So we've got options from 3 to 4 and 4 Lite. And then we've also got a bundle with Unify Hub. So if you want that cloud workflow, that Unify workflow, you can get the Unify license bundled with the Core 4, and there's actually quite a good cost saving on that as well. So before we dive into the questions, just to reiterate, if you'd like to see a full demonstration, please email sales@gplabs.com, talk to your partner, your GB Labs partner. If you are one of our partners, of course, we'd love to do some more demonstrations and stuff with you as well, and talk about all the extra bits we have. Or go to the website and you can go through a contact us form on there. Or of course, you can call the UK number. If you go to the website, the US number and the Australian number is on there as well. So I'm just going to dive into the questions and see what we've got. Yes, the first question, exactly the same as the last two webinars actually, is when is it shipping or when is it available? I've been told by my CPO that we are looking at the end of June at the moment for availability. We will be sending out updates on that as well as we get closer to that date. Do we need 4.5 for Unify Hub? Yes, Unify Hub is a Core .4 exclusive, so it only runs on the Core 4 family of software. So if you want Unify Hub, you can install it and run it on your Core 4 software, absolutely, and 4.5 will make it even better. How do I upgrade? So if you have a Core 3 server, the best thing to do is to reach out to us or to your partner and let us know what your serial number is, and we can then come back to you with costs and eligibility for upgrades on that box. We have just bought a space system. How do we get 4.5? Okay, great. Yeah, so that will be available as a software update. So if you're eligible for software updates with that box, which you would be, then you'll be able to get 4.5 as a software update when it is shipped. Is the GUI just accessed through the web browser? Yeah, so the screenshots that we were looking at then, they are a screenshot of a web browser. So I've taken up the address bar, but essentially that is through a web browser. So any web browser interface you can access the GUI from. But we do have another couple of methods. All of our systems have IPMI, which essentially means that you can connect to the back of the machine through the network as if you're plugged in the back with a keyboard and mouse, and you can access it from there. And if you do have the server in a server room with a keyboard and mouse connected in the back and a screen, you can then go in there and you can actually access the web browser directly through that interface as well. So that's how you can get to the web browser or get to the Core 4 interface. So either a web browser connected to any network where you've allowed access or directly in the back. How can 4.5 automation work with cloud? Okay, so automation, the slide that we looked at before, automation is effectively a watch folder system. So we point it to a directory and we can say, for example, when a cloud lands in a folder, when a file lands in a folder, do something to it. And that could be either copy it to somewhere else initially and then move it. We could rename it. We could send an email with a file listing. But when we want to interact with cloud, as long as you've connected your cloud services, we can then copy it or move it to a cloud account for you. So it might be potentially you've got an online system doing encoding and it takes delivery via S3. What we can do is we can add that S3 service into the cloud services, which doesn't require Unify Hub. That's just a cloud service. We can then take that folder. When those files have arrived, we can then move them to that S3 bucket online, where of course your cloud encoders, transcoders, whatever you want, can then pick it up. So yes, automation can react very cleverly with it. We've got a question here. Do I have to pay for the upgrade? Yes, the upgrade is chargeable. So please get in touch with us and we can check your system for eligibility, and then we can give you some pricing on that upgrade. And depending if you want to have it bundled with either Cloak or Unify Hub or something, we can get that for you. And as a second part to that question, with the new 4.5, how many JBODs can I add to FastNAS? So 4.5 is the same as previous versions of the Core 4 family. So you can add in 2 expansions to a FastNAS. So your FastNAS head unit can take 2 EXs on the back of it. So I think we've got to the end of our questions, unless anyone else has got any other questions. and we finished a little bit early, which is good. Any more questions at all? So that awkward silence at the end of the meeting when no one wants to put their hand up. Okay, cool. So we haven't got any more questions. So I'm going to finish there. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And please reach out to us. We'd love to show you loads more about what it can do. And specifically, if you're looking at buying one of our systems at the moment, please have a look and see what we've got on offer. It's really good. There's some really good stuff in there, and we hope you like the interface. That's it. Thank you for your time, and we hopefully look forward to speaking to you soon. And take care, everybody.